Good afternoon, dear journalists. We wanted to say a little bit about volunteers Project Varta Pravdy, God of Truth. We are activists of Maidan. We went through Maidan and we continue working as civic activists, and I would like to say something about elections in majoritarian districts. What I would like to emphasize, all the elections to the parliament, that is one of results of Maidan. One of the achievements. We, being on Maidan, we demanded the retirement of Yanukovych, and there was the other requirement to change the system. We had early elections, presidential elections in the country, and these elections is one of the variants without blood shed, and also an opportunity to change the system through bringing new people to the parliament. And the system consists of people. We understand that in these elections, we have to use the old election law, though we hoped that they would cancel majoritarian districts, but we have to achieve our goal in the framework of this system. We should not give up. We should not lose hope. We should consciously make our choice on every majoritarian district. We must understand that the majoritarian system exists for those who buy votes. They have influence on voting. People who got used to come to bring to the parliament, and their secretaries, their bodyguards, their relatives. Now, in majoritarian districts, they are trying to bring to the parliament such people. What's the danger for citizens under such circumstances? You remember last winter in Maidan, for 3 months, we lived on Maidan under that parliament which we elected in 2012. The parliament had 3 months to announce impeachment to Yanukovych legitimately to prevent bloodshed on Maidan. During those 3 months, people, MPs, instead of what we expected from them, they voted for the laws on January 16. They worked for the criminal regime. They betrayed Ukrainian people and voters who elected them in fall 2012. Let's look what is happening in the majoritarian districts in Kiev. For example, District 223. Again, Pilipyshin is running there again, who filled that district with money, with the buckwheat, with money in 2012, then failed. Then in 2013, there was a revolt, and because of briberies, pressure, etc., he came to the parliament and voted. And right away he voted for the laws of January 16. Now he's again running. He tells people now, his campaign telling people that he will be such a perfect MP. He will stand for interests of our nation. And there is Lyzhychko who's running against him. He's from Svoboda. You have to remember that as a result of victory on Maidan, Svoboda received a chance to appoint the public prosecutor Magnitsky. Magnitsky, our expectations from him and from Svoboda, that he had to put them into prisons. Magnitsky is not there. Svoboda again is nominating its candidates, and Lyzhychko is the deputy in Kiev Council. And right away, he wants to run to the parliament. And they promised that Svoboda in the parliament, they will do the best. We, civic activists, first of all, We ask residents of Kiev who supported Maidan pay attention to majoritarian districts. In every district, there are good candidates. In District 213, there is a wonderful candidate, Vladislav Bereza. Alexander Beletsky, commander of Azov battalion, and there was one candidate who is buying votes of old ladies, and in the same district we have no right to allow such people to be elected to this parliament. For us not to go again to Maidan and influence in that way, we should use this opportunity now, and we should make a conscious choice. As to initiatives and the project Truth Watch, it allows people to understand their candidates in their districts, and then to explain to their neighbors who deserves to represent their districts in majoritarian elections, and to make a conscious choice. Now, a little bit about the project Truth Watch, and Sergiy Boyko will tell you about that. Thank you. Truth Watch project, we analyze the situation in majoritarian districts, and we analyze a list of candidates, and also we collect facts, evidence of violations in every district. We analyze that too, and we make conclusions of that. Unfortunately, after that analysis, we have to state that all the threats mentioned by political experts and what we did on Maidan, because of majoritarian districts, we have the same. And there is a threat to national security, because if the country gets the same parliament or a little bit better than the previous one, that can bring us to a big social protest, because they will not pass any normal law. We saw how they passed the law on public prosecution and anti-corruption laws and anti-corruption bureau, and at night Yarema corrected before the vote. He put corrections just to keep power, not to lose his powers in the general prosecution, and to be allowed to have a chance to control everything and to generate financial flows. The same about the law on anti-corruption bureau. When Pashinsky did the same, but in a different room, and he corrected the text of the law before it was voted on the next day. So on one hand, we say that they pass very good laws. On the other hand, what we don't see is the quality of those laws, because the power of the law does not depend on its name. To prevent such a crisis like we had before, we should draw attention of our people to these parliamentary elections, and a lot depends on journalists. To which extent people's participation and the way they are educated on their candidates, that depends on you. A little bit of some facts. This parliament, 302 incumbent deputies are running again. 149 are running in majoritarian districts. Among them, 48 were nominated by political parties, and Some of them won, the rest were self-nominated. And 91 deputy voted for January 16 laws. Now they're trying to hide the fact, and they tell in their districts that they are wonderful. They start they give out buckwheat, and they pay 91 of those at 92, no, 91, yes, correct. Who voted for the dictatorial laws, and they run in majority in districts because the majority of them they pulled down their party flags, understand that the party of regents and the Communist Party is not in demand. They hid them far away, and they run in like independent candidates who have nothing to do with those things. Among those 91, three were nominated by political parties, two by Communist Party. In District 207 in Chernihiv region, Huber Victor, and 138 in Odessa, Dorokhov Anton. I'm surprised the third person, Atroshenko Vladislav, was nominated in 206 in Chernihiv region from Petro Poroshenko bloc, who voted for the dictatorial laws of January 16.
So basically, in Kharkiv region, we have 13 of such nominees, then Dnipropetrovsk, then Donetsk, then Zaporizhia, then Odessa, 6 nominees, Cherkasy, Lugansk, 5, then Zhytomyrsk, Chernigivsk, 4 of such Rudkivsky is nominee there, then other regions, 2 Chernivets 1, and in Kiev 1 nominee, and that is Pilipishin. The second serious threat is the possibility to buy votes, either in a hidden way when some food packages are distributed, or direct bribery when for money they propose to vote. We have registered about 700 cases like that all over Ukraine. You can learn about that on our website, vartapravdy.org. We have the black list of Varta Pravdy, which will include all the MPs who voted on the 16th of February for dictatorship laws, and all those who were seen bribing the voters. We will send this blacklist to all the journalists, and we ask you to disseminate it and to inform the voters about that. That's very important. And the third very serious scheme of falsifications is technical candidates. In a quarter of all constituencies, we see cases of technical candidates being nominated. Only in some constituencies, the opponents from democratic forces managed to cancel their registration in the Central Election Committee. Such scheme is still being applied. The legislation is such that they can do nothing with that, or they do not want to do nothing with that. So there's a big threat that the old regime will be reanimated. And Varta Pravdy came to the conclusion that the majoritarian component was left on purpose, because in reality the power belongs to oligarchs in Ukraine. The oligarchs, after Yanukovych ran away, managed to re-establish their status quo. There's not a person who is just one person who would be ruling everyone else, but oligarchs continue to rule the country via their fake parties, pocket parties, Not a single parliamentary party has its own ideology. All their ideology is lies, and it depends on what are the moods of the society. The parties change their ideology based on what people would like to see. And these parties are controlled and they depend on the oligarchs who sponsor them at each elections. A couple of words about the website. Varta Pravdy has been launched today. This website, you can see your constituency, you can see what are the nominees running in your constituency, and we presented 7 criteria during the previous briefing, 5 negative, voting on the 16th of January, the member of the Party of Regions of the Party of Communists, bribing the voters, support of terrorism or separatism, support and participation in anti-Maidan, and 2 positive, participation or support of revolution of dignity, and also participation or support of anti-terrorist operation. All people can look at these candidates, can see the personal web page of every candidate. You can add information if you have some additional information. You can send it. You can send it to our administrators. They will verify it, and if it is confirmed, that they will put it on the website. You can inform about any violations. This way, this is the one of the methods of collecting all violations, information about all violations. Also, we can start the parallel counting of votes. So that is all. And Vladislav will also say a few words. Again, to complete it, I would like to address our citizens. You know, there's a famous saying, people be careful. We would like to remind to citizens their choice in 2012 influenced the fact that we had to go to Maidan. And now the citizens in this situation have to pay some attention to their constituency, maybe spend a little more time than we usually spend for buying, for example, Christmas gifts, and make the correct choice so that in the next Verkhovna Rada we have fewer people, political forces who have proven that they will not change system at all. Elect new people, elect those people who depend on your opinion and not on the opinion of party leaders, not on oligarchic clans. Elect those people who by their deeds prove that they are loyal to the revolution of dignity, so that we in the future do not have to go to Maidan again and to shed blood again. Use this opportunity to elect the normal Verkhovna Rada. Thank you, Sergiy. Thank you, Vladislav. Any questions? I have a question. Basically, the buckwheat you mentioned, usually the nominees are distributing it to elder population, to pensioners, and they are not using the internet. They will not use your website, and so that they do not support wrong candidates. So my question is, besides the internet resource, how can you help people of elder age who will not be using your website, how to inform them about those candidates. What are you doing about that? First of all, I have already requested the journalists, please write about that in newspapers, show that on TV, because the elderly people, they read newspapers and they watch TV. Secondly, it's responsibility of each one of us. We all have relatives who are elder. Just spend some time, spend your own time, talk to them, convince them, ask who are they planning to vote for. If such candidate is not worth being elected to the parliament, then convince, find arguments. What we are doing, as much as we can, we disseminate the information, leaflets. Just like regular people, we try to talk to people as much as we can. We plan some events which are oriented towards elderly population so that they get together and listen. So join us and help us.
Задали це питання, і я згадав.
You asked this question, and I recollected of a story that the guys who came back from the front told me from ATO. They were at a checkpoint, and an old lady came to them. She gave them 200 hryvnias, says, take this hryvnias, and the guys refused to take this money. They say, leave this money for yourself, because we are coping without your 200 hryvnias. But this old woman left this money somewhere on the road and said, I'm leaving this money here. Then they, again, they catch up with the old lady and say, take this money back. Then she says, you know, these are 200 hryvnias that they brought me at the elections, and I took it, and now I lost my grandchild. He died, he was killed when fighting. And so this is the question to young people. People of older generation are not using internet, but you can always explain. Young people, you can explain, because you read, you know the information, you can explain to your relatives that bribery is not just 200 hryvnias. That is something after which you will have to pay for this 200 hryvnias, some awful price. And just like Ukrainians were organizing Maidan all together, the elections, it's continuation of Maidan. Everyone has to contribute to this awareness campaign, and you have to do everything possible so that the people of elder generation make the choice, the proper choice at the elections. And after the elections, what will you be doing, and what will be on your website?
After elections, Truth Watch will not stop. We'll continue working as an information resource, and we'll work on monitoring candidates who turn to be deputies. Ideologically, Truth Watch is all problems in the country start with lying. When politicians lie, and that deceptions comes down to everyday life. Truth Watch should inform the society on truth. It doesn't matter how tough, unpleasant it is, but we should take it, we should know it, and then our society will be changed, will change. Because truth is that engine We shall bring the country to those changes we want and think about. So that will be the work of our project in the future. Thank you very much. I would like to inform you that we had civic activists from Truth Watch, and there's a Truth Watch org, Varta Pravdy org, and it will help you to understand your candidates there in majority and districts.